Previous class, I have explained you about the various provisions relating to declaration of dividends and also the divisible profits of the company. What is a divisible profit and how it is utilized or used to declare dividends, right? And also various provisions regarding the distribution of dividends out of the reserves. In the case of insufficient profits, right, the company suppose wants to declare dividend, what provisions it has to take into consideration or what rules it has to follow. So let us work out some examples on those two issues, that is divisible profits and also the declaration of dividends out of the reserves. Now, on the screen you can observe here the example on XYZ Limited, which started business in the year 2012 and its accounts on 31st March on different years. The position of different years are given here. You can write down this. XYZ Limited started business in 2012 and its account on 31st March is given below. The position on different years are given here. In the year 11 and 12, the depreciation charge is 15,000 and the company incurred a loss of rupees 10,000. In the year 12 and 13, 18,000 is the depreciation and 26,000 is the profit. And in the year 2013 and 14, 20,000 is the depreciation charge, 20,000 is the loss. And in the year 2014 and 15, 30,000 is depreciation and 35,000 is the profit and dividend declared is 10,000. And in the year 2015 and 16, 28,000 is the depreciation charge and 10,000 is the loss. 10,000 is the loss incurred during the year, and in the year 2016 and 17, 32,000 is the depreciation charge and 18,000 is the profit, and it is not declared, no declared dividends are declared in the current year, that is in the year 2016 and 17. So, here what you have to consider is, or what you have to do here is, you have to calculate what is the amount of divisible profits, right? Considering all these years profit and considering all these years depreciation, what is the amount of divisible profit at the end of the year? The directors of the company wants to declare dividends, right? The directors of the company want to declare dividends, and what profit is available to declare dividends? Now, as we have already discussed earlier regarding the declaration of dividends, right? The company can use current year's profit to declare dividends only after providing for depreciation of that particular year. And the company can also utilize the previous year's profit to declare dividend on the condition that all the previous year's depreciation should be provided for, right? And only the remaining profit can be used or utilized to declare dividends. Now, if you observe this example, in the year 2011 and 12, the company charged depreciation of 15,000, and after charging depreciation there is a net loss of 10,000. Then what is the amount available for declaration of dividend? In the first year, I think there is no amount available for declaration of dividend. And in the second year, the company's profit is excess, right? 10,000 the profit is 20,000 and 10,000 rupees dividend was declared. And then the third year also 13 and 14, 20,000 is the depreciation, 20,000 is the loss. So by observing this, you can say that, or you cannot directly calculate the net amount of profit available, but the earlier years of unabsorbed depreciation should also be provided for out of the balance of profit. Therefore, in order to calculate the divisible profit to declare dividends, you need to calculate what is the amount of divisible profit available at the end of the last year, that is at the end of 2016 and 17, by taking into consideration all the earlier years and unabsorbed depreciation. Therefore, you can see here the company wants to know the amount of divisible profit at the end of the year on hand on 31st March 2017 in order to determine the rate of dividend that can be declared. Right? In order to determine the rate of dividend declared, the company wants to know the amount of divisible profit available at the end of the year. Now, in order to solve this example, in order to solve this problem, you have to see what is the divisible profit available and what is the total amount of depreciation in a particular year, and what amount of depreciation which is unabsorbed or which is arrears. So all the arrears of depreciation should be provided for out of the profits of previous years, and only the balance of profit can be utilized or used to declare dividends. Now, if you observe the statement of divisible profit as on 31st March 2018 here, 31st March 2017, you can prepare this statement of divisible profit on 31st March 2017. Now here you can see in the year 2011 and 12, there is a loss of rupees, how much? 10,000. Company incurred a loss of this 10,000 after charging a depreciation of rupees 15,000. Isn't it? And so, after charging depreciation of rupees 15,000, there is a loss of rupees 10,000. It means the trading loss, there is a gross profit or trading profit of rupees 5,000. Right? There is a profit of rupees 5,000, trading profit or gross profit of 5,000, and out of the gross profit only, total depreciation charge is 15,000. It means all the 15,000 rupees of depreciation, or out of 15,000 rupees depreciation, only 5,000 depreciation can be provided, and 10,000 rupees depreciation is considered as unabsorbed depreciation, isn't it? So, as there is a loss of rupees 10,000, as there is a depreciation charge in that year is 15,000, so there should be a gross profit of rupees 5,000. So, when there is a gross profit of rupees 5,000, only 5,000 rupees of depreciation is provided for, and remaining 10,000 rupees depreciation is unabsorbed, or 10,000 rupees depreciation represents arrears of depreciation. So in the year 11 and 12, you can see here, in the year 11 and 12, rupees 10,000 depreciation is arrears, or in the year 11 and 12, 10,000 rupees depreciation was not provided for. So that should be continued till the end of the year 31st March 2017, and out of the profits available, the arrears or depreciation should be provided for. That is in the year 11 and 12. So in the year 11 and 12, 10,000 is the arrears of depreciation which is not provided for. If you see in the year next year 12 and 13, there is a profit of rupees 26,000 and the company declared a dividend of rupees 10,000, right? And balance of profit available is, right, 16,000, and this is the amount of divisible profit in that year. This is the balance of profit available in that year. So in the year 12 and 13, all the amount of depreciation is provided for. There is no arrears of depreciation because there is sufficient amount of profit. In the year 2012 and 13, there is sufficient amount of profit and all the amount of depreciation is, right. That means the depreciation in the year 2012 and 13 is 18,000 and this 18,000 total amount is provided for. Total amount of depreciation 18,000 is absorbed. Right? After deducting the 18,000 rupees depreciation, the company earned a profit of rupees 26,000 and it has declared a dividend of rupees 10,000 and the balance of profit of rupees 16,000 in the year 2012 and 13 is balance of divisible profit. Right? This profit is available for, right, declaration of dividend for the next or in the coming years. So, if you observe this, in the year 2013 and 14, in the year 2013 and 14, you can see there is a loss of 30,000. There is a loss of this 30,000, and after charging depreciation of this 20,000, the company here in the year 2013 and 14, the company's loss is 20,000. The company's loss is 20,000 and this is after charging a depreciation of this 20,000. Therefore, the total loss of this 30,000, after charging depreciation of this 20,000, so there is a trading loss of this 20,000, 10,000 in that year. There is a trading loss of this 10,000 in that year. Therefore, total amount of depreciation 20,000 is absorbed. As there is a trading loss, as there is a gross loss in the year 2013 and 14, so total amount of 20,000, total amount of depreciation is unabsorbed. Total amount of depreciation is unabsorbed. Therefore, the 20,000 rupees considered as arrears of depreciation. 20,000 is taken as arrears of depreciation because there is no trading profit, there is no gross profit in that year because there is a total loss of 20,000 and this is after charging depreciation of 20,000. So there should be a gross loss of rupees 10,000. Therefore, whole amount of depreciation is unabsorbed, right? So, in the next year, suppose if you observe in the next year, right? In the next year, there is a 14 and 15. In the year 14 and 15, there is a loss of rupees, there is a depreciation charge of rupees 30,000 and total profit is 35,000, right? And the dividend declared is 10,000. So, in the year 2014 and 15 also, there is a sufficient amount of profit. 35,000 profit arrived after charging depreciation of this 30,000, right? After charging depreciation of this 30,000, there is a profit of this 35,000 and the dividend declared is 10,000. Now it clearly shows that the company's depreciation is in the year 14 and 15 is completely absorbed, right? So there is no arrears of depreciation in the year, right, 14 and 15. The total amount of depreciation is absorbed. So the balance of profit in the year 14 and 15 is, in the year 14 and 15, right, balance of profit is 14 and 15, 1 year's balance of profit is actually 14 and 15, balance of profit is 25,000. Actually, it should be 25,000 available. The total amount of divisible profit in the year 14 and 15 should be 25,000, right? So, in the year 15 and 16, in the year 15 and 16, there is a depreciation charge of rupees 28,000. Depreciation charge of rupees 28,000, and there is a net loss of rupees, right, 10,000. Depreciation 28,000, net loss of rupees 10,000. Therefore, there should be a loss of rupees 10,000 after depreciation of 28,000. So there is a trading profit of rupees 18,000. The total loss incurred in the year 15 and 16 is 10,000 after charging depreciation of 28,000. Therefore, there should be a trading profit of rupees 18,000. So there is a profit of rupees 18,000 and 28,000 is the depreciation. So loss arrived is 10,000. So trading profit in the year 2015 and 16 is 18,000. So the amount of depreciation unabsorbed is rupees 10,000. So total depreciation is 28,000. So out of 28,000 depreciation, right, the depreciation to the extent of rupees 10,000 only is unabsorbed. So 18,000 depreciation is absorbed. So 10,000 rupees unabsorbed depreciation, or it is arrears of depreciation, it should be carried forward to calculate divisible profit, right? So in the next year also, in the year 16 and 17 also, the profit available in the company is 18,000. This is the total profit available. So from this statement, ultimately you can calculate, right, the balance of divisible profit at the end of the year, right? There is a 10,000 rupees loss in the first year, right? 16,000 rupees profit in the second year, right? And 20,000 rupees loss in the third year, 20,000 rupees loss, and in the fourth year also, that should be in the fourth year actually 14 and 15. 14 and 15 there is a profit of rupees 25,000. As there is a total profit of 35,000, declaration of dividend is 10,000, balance of profit available in the fourth year, that is 14 and 15 is 25,000, right? That is the divisible profit, because the total amount of depreciation is absorbed in the fourth year. And in the fifth year, there is a loss of rupees 10,000, that is arrears of depreciation. And in the next year, 15, 16 and 17, the profit available in the company is rupees 18,000. So, the net amount of profit available is 19,000. Out of the total profit, you can deduct the total amount of depreciation. The total amount of arrears of depreciation. Whatever amount of arrears of depreciation is, there you can deduct that. The balance of divisible profit at the end of the year is rupees 19,000. At the end of the year, 31st March 2017, 19,000. Now you can calculate this. See, profit of rupees 16,000 in the second year, right? Profit of rupees, there is a loss of 10,000, arrears of depreciation in the next year. So the net amount of profit is 6,000. And again there is a loss of rupees 20,000 in the next year. So you can calculate profit. Total profit is here 16,000, 16,000 in the second year, and again third year there is a loss, and in the fourth year there is a profit of this 25,000, 16,000 plus 25,000, right? 16,000, 25,000, that is 41,000. 41,000 is the profit, and in the 41,000 plus in the year 2016 and 17 there is a profit of rupees 18,000. 41,000 plus 18,000. So 59,000 is the total profit. 59,000 is the total profit. What is the total loss here? Total loss, arrears of depreciation is 59,000 minus 10,000. Right? 49,000. 49,000 minus 20,000. 49,000 minus 29,000. 29,000 minus 10,000. 29,000 minus loss of arrears of depreciation 10,000 is 19,000. So 19,000 is the balance of profit available as on 31st March 2017. Right? Now this is the amount of profit available to the company's shareholders. Right? And the directors can declare dividends of rupees 19,000 in that year. Now this dividend of divisible profit of rupees 19,000 is after deducting all the arrears of depreciation. So one condition here is, in order to declare dividends, right? In order to declare dividends, the arrears of dividends of all the previous years should be provided for. Therefore, after providing for all the arrears of dividends of previous years, right, the balance of profit available is rupees 19,000. Now this is how you can calculate the balance of, right, profit, the balance of divisible profit, taking into consideration all the arrears of dividends of previous years. Now this example you can write down how divisible profit is calculated when there is unabsorbed depreciation, right? Similarly, let us see another important point regarding the transfer of profit from the reserves, right? One example we can just observe here. You can see here an example: declaration of dividends, right, of the company out of the company's reserves, or out of the accumulated surpluses, or out of the accumulated profits. If the company incurs, or in any year there is inadequate profit, the profits are insufficient, profits are not sufficient to declare dividends, right? In the case of insufficient profit, a company can utilize the accumulated profits or reserves for the purpose of declaration of dividends, as we have seen as per the provisions of the company. But there are certain conditions in order to declare dividends out of the reserves or accumulated profit. The conditions are, as I already explained you, the rate of dividend declared should not be more than the average rate of dividend which was declared by the company in the last 3 years, preceding 3 years, right? But the company can also, right, can withdraw only 10%, 1/10 of its paid up capital and free reserves. That is the condition. The company cannot withdraw from the reserves not more than what is called as 10% or 1/10 of the, right, paid up capital and free reserves. And another condition is that the amount so drawn shall be first utilized to set off the losses incurred in the previous financial year. Right? The company must utilize. See, you can write down this example. XYZ Limited has inadequacy of profits, right? Inadequacy of profits and or insufficient profits it proposes to declare dividend out of the general reserve. The following are the facts of the company. XYZ Limited proposes to declare dividend out of the general reserve because there is insufficient profit. And the various facts of the company are given here. That is, there is a 17,500 preference shares of 10 each fully paid is given, dividend at the rate of 9%. 7 lakh equity shares of rupees 10 each is given. There is a general reserve in the company rupees 21 lakhs and capital reserve of rupees 3,50,000 and there is a security premium balance of rupees 3,50,000 and there is a surplus account balance, that is profit and loss account balance, opening balance 63,000 and the company earned a net profit in the year is 3,57,000 and the average rate of dividend during the last year was 15%. And the board of directors wishes to declare 10% dividend. Now, in this case, the company's profit is insufficient, and the company wants to transfer some amount from the general reserve. Now, you can calculate here what amount the company can draw from the reserves to declare dividend of 10%. Is it sufficient, or company can declare dividend of 10% or not? So you have to take into consideration the various provisions of the company regarding the declaration of dividend out of the reserves, right? So as I already explained you, in case of inadequacy or insufficient profit, company can draw some amount from the general reserve to declare dividend, but the conditions apply here. The conditions apply. What is the condition here? Condition number 1, the rate of dividend declared by the company should not be more than, right, average rate of dividend declared by the company in the last 3 years. It is satisfied in this case because in the last 3 years, the company declared a dividend of 15%, isn't it? The company declared a dividend of 15%. Now the company wants to declare a dividend of 10%. So, but you cannot decide whether 10% dividend declared or not now. But the rate of dividend declared presently is lesser than the average rate of dividend declared by the company in the last 3 years, isn't it? So, the second condition is the company can withdraw only how much? 10%, 1/10 of its paid up capital and free reserves. Company can withdraw only 1/10 of its paid up capital and free reserves, not more than that. That condition you have to calculate. That means whether it is what is the amount of 1/10 of paid up capital and free reserves. You can calculate, and that is the maximum amount the company can draw from the reserves. And the third condition is the amount so withdrawn shall be first utilized to set off the losses incurred in the financial year in which the dividend is declared before any dividend in respect of equity shares. So whatever amount you draw from the general reserve, first it should be utilized to set off the losses of the current year, the year in which the dividend is declared. So in this case there is no loss. The current year the company earned a profit of rupees 3,57,000 as it is given here, isn't it? And the fourth condition here is the balance of reserve after such withdrawal shall not fall below 15% of its paid up capital, right, appearing in the latest audited financial statement. Now fourth condition we have to consider here, after drawing the amount from the general reserve, the balance in the general reserve should not fall below 15%. The balance in the general reserve should be more than 15% of its paid up capital. This condition, the two conditions you have to, this condition must also be followed. Now, first condition is followed. First condition, there is no problem here, because the rate of dividend declared is 10% and the average rate of dividend declared in the last year is 15%. So 10% can be allowed, but we cannot decide now whether the 10% is the rate of dividend 10% or not. On the basis of amount available, you can decide. But the second condition, you can calculate here the maximum amount that can be withdrawn. The maximum amount can be drawn is 10% of the paid up capital and free reserve, isn't it? 10%. So what is the maximum amount of 10% of paid up capital and free reserve? The maximum amount is, right, paid up capital is 17,500 preference shares of 100 each. It is 17 lakh 50,000 as we have calculated here. 17 lakh 50,000 is the 17,500 preference shares of rupees 100 each. And this is 7 lakh equity shares of rupees 10 each. That is 70 lakh. And this is the general reserve, free reserve. General reserve available in the company 21 lakh. And this is the profit and loss account balance, the opening balance of profit and loss account or surplus. Profit and loss account balance is 63,000. So, total amount of paid up capital and free reserve is rupees 10,91,300. Right? 10% of this is 10,91,300. Total amount of this will be 1,09,13,000. So 17 lakh 50,000 plus 70 lakh, right, plus 21 lakh plus 63,000 comes to 1 crore 91 lakh, right, 30,000. 1 crore 91 lakh 30,000. Now 10% of this will be 10 lakh 91,300, isn't it? Now this is the maximum amount that can be drawn from the, right, general reserve. But after, now you have to consider here, right? You have to consider here the balance of reserve after drawing this amount should not fall below 15% of its paid up capital. You have to consider fourth condition also. You have to consider fourth condition also. The balance of reserve after drawing this amount should not be less than 15% of its paid up capital. Now what is the paid up capital? 15% of paid up capital. 15% of paid up capital is, the total paid up capital is, paid up capital means equity and preference. 17 lakh 50,000 equity capital, 70 lakh what is called as preference share capital. Now total amount of, right, preference paid up capital is 87 lakh 50,000. Total amount of paid up capital is 87 lakh 50,000, and 15% of this comes to how much? 13 lakh 12,500. Right? The balance in the reserve should not be less than this. The balance in the reserve after taking this amount, after drawing this amount, the balance in the reserve should not be less than this. So, what is the general reserve? General reserve is 21. General reserve, free reserves are 21 lakh plus 63,000. Free reserves are 21 lakh 63,000. The free reserves are 21 lakh 63,000. So, after drawing this, after drawing 10 lakh 91,000, right, from the reserve, after drawing 21 lakh 91,300 from the reserve, the balance in the reserve is, right, less than this amount. The balance in the reserve is less than this amount. So, what is the maximum amount that can be taken from reserve? The maximum amount, so the balance in the reserve should be, how much? 13 lakh 12,500. So, after drawing this amount, the balance in the reserve is less than this. Therefore, total amount of 10 lakh 91,000 cannot be withdrawn. You have to consider here. You have to take into account. See, after drawing this amount, 10,91,000 from the reserves, the balance should be how much? 13,12,500. But after drawing this amount from 21 lakh, the balance is not 13,12,500. The balance should be more than this amount. But after from 21 lakh 63,000, if you draw 10 lakh 91,300, the balance is how much? Almost 11 lakh something. 11 lakh something. That means the balance in the reserve is not more than 15% of paid up capital. Therefore, you cannot withdraw 10,91,300 from the general reserve. Right? The maximum amount you can withdraw is only 8,50,000 from the general reserve, not 10,91,300. Because if you draw 10,91,300 from the general reserve, the balance in the general reserve is less than 15% of paid up capital. Isn't it? So, the maximum amount you can withdraw is only 8,50,000. 8,50,000. Therefore, what is the total profit available? You can withdraw 8,50,000 from the from the general reserve, and the balance of profit available is 63,000 opening balance of profit, right? 3,57,000 is the current year's profit. The total profit is something 4 lakh, right? 10,000, and the preference dividend to be declared paid is 1,57,500. So the balance of profit available is how much? 2,62,500. 2,62,500. And you can get how much? 8,50,000 from the general reserve. What is the rate of dividend? What is the dividend amount required to declare dividend? The company wants to declare a dividend of 10% on equity share. So total amount of dividend comes to rupees 7 lakh, isn't it? On 70 lakh equity shares, the company can declare a dividend of rupees how much? A company can declare a dividend of rupees 7 lakhs. So amount required to declare dividend is 7 lakhs. But what is the amount available? 8,50,000 you can take from the general reserve, and 2,62,000 is available in the profit and loss account, or surplus amount available, so that company can declare a dividend of rupees how much? The profit available for right. Now the company can declare dividend of 10% by drawing 4,37,000, right? 4,37,500 from the general reserve. See, the maximum amount the company can draw from the reserve 8,50,000, right? It can withdraw from the reserve, but already there is a balance of rupees 2,62,500 in the profit and loss account, and the total amount of dividend required is 7 lakhs. So already this amount is available. 2,62,500 is available in the profit and loss account. Therefore, the balance amount of this 4,37,500 can be withdrawn from the reserve to declare a dividend of 7 lakh, so that company can declare a dividend of 10%. So 10% dividend can be declared by the company. Now in this example, you can easily state that, right? In order to declare dividends out of the general reserve by utilizing the amount from the general reserve, the conditions to be fulfilled. As we have observed here, the company cannot declare a dividend rate of not more than the dividend which was declared in the last dividend declared in the last 3 years. That is the condition. And maximum 1/10 of dividends can be 1/10 of the paid up capital and free reserve can be obtained, subject to the condition that subject to the condition that the balance in the general reserve should not fall below 15% of the paid up capital, isn't it? So if these conditions are fulfilled, the company can draw that amount from the general reserve. But in this case, the maximum amount they can withdraw is 10,91,300, 10,91,300. But after satisfying the condition number 5, they can withdraw only 8,50,000, because if you withdraw 10,39,300, the balance in the general reserve is not more than 15% of paid up capital, isn't it? Therefore, the maximum amount they can withdraw is 8,50,000, but the amount required is only what is called as the declaration amount required for declaration of dividend is 7 lakh only. In order to declare 7 lakh rupees dividend, the balance already in the company's profit and loss account is 2,62,500. Therefore, a company can draw balance of rupees 4,37,500 from the general reserve, so that company can declare a dividend of rupees 10%. As this rate of dividend is less than the average rate of dividend declared by the company in the last 3 years. This is also one of the thing. But if you suppose there is the dividend rate suppose is more than 15%, then even if drawing this amount, company cannot, right? Company cannot declare a dividend of more than 15% after drawing this amount. So only considering the provisions of the Companies Act of 2013, right? Company can utilize the amount for the purpose of declaration of dividends, right? So this is how you have to take into consideration the various provisions of the Companies Act regarding the declaration of dividends. You can write down these things, and we shall work out some examples in the next class also regarding the declaration of dividend out of the reserves, or amount that could be transferred from the general reserve, right? Thank you for your watching.